Hey guys, it's Miss K, and I am going to be reading for you guys today The Water Horse, Chapter 7. Chapter 7, A Bit Too Tame. "You see the problem, don't you?" said Father on the following morning. "I do," said Grumble. "He's a bit too tame." They watched the children standing in the shallows, playing with Crusoe. Each had a stick to scratch his back, and as usual, he was squirming with pleasure at the rough tickling. There had been no signs of him when they arrived. The surface of the lock-in was calm and empty, but Christie had called "Crusoe!" and almost at once he had surfaced and come swimming towards them. "He's not afraid of humans. That's the trouble," said Father. "Kind treatment and good food. That's what people mean to him. So now he'll react the same way to anybody. I'm thinking one of the locals, a tourist, anyone." He turned to the children. "Suppose a couple of your school friends were coming to visit you, and Crusoe spotted them. He might come for a tickle, mistaking them for you. You've not told any of the children at school, have you?" "Of course not," said Kirsty, shocked. "They wouldn't believe me if I did," said Angus. "Anyway," said Grumble, "there's not many folk come this way." "But it only needs one person to see him," said Father, "and that will give the game away. Then we'll have dozens of newspaper reporters writing about him, taking photographs of him. Then the world and his wife will want to come and gawk at him. Next thing, they'll want to catch him and put him in a zoo. That's if some sportsman doesn't shoot him first and mount his head and stick it on the wall for a trophy." "The Lachlan's so small," said Grumble, "especially at the rate he's growing. Now, if only we could put him in a really huge stretch of water. Loch Lomond? Say, he'd not be so easy to spot." Said Father. "In my opinion," he said, "the first thing to do it would be done is to teach him a new trick. He comes when he's called. Now we must train him to stay hidden unless he's called. How on earth do we do that? It won't be easy. It means disciplining the animal. He's had things too easy. That's the trouble." "The children are awful fond of the beastie," said Grumble. "They'll get a lot of pleasure from him." "You've a soft spot for him yourself, I'm thinking," said Father. He shot a glance at his father-in-law's face, which wore an accustomed smile as he watched his grandchildren play with the water horse. "If you don't mind me saying so," he went on, "you're a happier man than you used to be." Growled Grumble. "Anyway," said Father, "if we're here to keep this strange pet, and that means keeping him a secret, then he's going to have to learn the hard way that he must show himself only when we want him to, not when we summon him." That evening, they all sat around a good fire of driftwood, for it was still very cold outside. Father explained things to the children. "So you see," he finished, "this is what we must do, unless we want to risk losing Crusoe. If we call him by name and he comes, that's fine. We can pat him and praise him and tickle him and offer him tidbits and make a thorough fuss of him. But what we must also do many times during the next few weeks" — Father had a month's leave while his ship was refitted at Greenock — "is to go and stand by the lock-in and not call him. Don't say anything. He'll see us and come anyways at first, but when he does, we don't touch him, don't give him anything. Only speak sharply, angrily to him, as you would to a dog that has done something naughty." "Oh, but Father," said Kirsty, "Crusoe's feelings will be terribly hurt." "Maybe they will, but he'll learn. He must learn. We must teach him, and we can't start too soon. First lesson tomorrow morning." The previous day had been a I can't say that word. The previous day had been a memorable one for Crusoe. His emergence from the goldfish pond, his painful progress towards the road, the strange dizzy sensation of sliding giddily down the hill, and finally the glorious feeling of finding himself free in a watery home hundreds of times bigger than the old one. He had swum out through the still dark waters effortlessly, turned to see the 4 giants watching him and waving at him, and dived down, down into the depths. And what was in those depths? Fish, fish, thousands and thousands of them. Crusoe didn't know a pike from a perch or a salmon from a trout. All he knew was that the Lachlan was alive with food. Food that was now, he found, easy for him to catch, so swiftly he could move underwater. By nightfall he had gorged himself and tired himself out in the bargain. And with the simplicity that marked all his actions, he closed his eyes and went to sleep. As always, he rose automatically in the midst of his slumbers to refill his lungs with air, and as automatically sank down again, not 6 feet, but now 60. Then next morning, after he had breakfast, he was swimming idly along in what was, had he known it, the natural and instinctive manner of his race when not hunting. That is to say, he was completely submerged and thus invisible to an onlooker, except for his 2 nostrils, which were just above the surface of the water. Then he heard the call that was, had he known it, his name, and he swam rapidly to the shore. What a joy it was to be tickled by the 2 smallest giants. He still thought of them that way, even though he was now far bigger than either of them. And how he wriggled with pleasure. That they did not feed him mattered not at all, for he was full and extremely happy. But on the following day, things were very different. He must have been underwater when the giants arrived, for he did not know that they were there until he suddenly caught sight of the 4 of them, standing silently on the shore. No call came from them, but Crusoe, delighted to see them, swam straight towards them and splashed his way up onto the shallows, where he stayed, staring at them lovingly, waiting for a tickle. But no tickle was forthcoming, nor any of the usual affectionate sounds. Instead, they made what sounded like angry noises and pointed out to the middle of the Lachlan and shooed him away as if they wanted nothing more to do with him. And then they turned and left without a backward look. Puzzled and hurt, the water horse stared after the departing giants. What had he done wrong? He bowed his head and gave a low moan of distress. Poor baby, he's very sad. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of the book, and I'll see you soon. Bye.